Hey guys, welcome to another video. Again, working on the Miata since we are now, I think, exactly 2 weeks away from the first event and the car's not ready to go, which is a little nerve-wracking to look at, but I guess it is what it is. We're just gonna keep working. Most of the stuff left is cosmetic. As the last video, we mounted the overs. So the overs are still kind of preliminary mounted. They still just have these little tech screws or whatever holding them up, but that's holding it for now. So we'll be able to pull it out real quick and stick all the rib nuts. That's gonna be pretty quick. So for now, I'm gonna start working on the rest of it, which is getting the rest of the body kit on. So front bumper, hanging the front bumper, trimming anything we need to do to get it to sit right. And then side skirts and rear bumper. So we'll get through it. Front bumper is on. Gaps look awful, but I don't know how to make it any better. And I feel like every time I put a new KBD kit on, I get mad at the gaps that are there on either side. And then after like one event, I completely forget about it. So I'm gonna just ignore that. All right. Side skirts, these may be tough, but I remember last time taking a very long time getting these to mount and look good. So we'll knock these out. All right, the last piece of the puzzle is in. Got 2 bolts in the back, plus the rib nuts or the zip ties in the corner. For the rear bumpers, the rear bumper is done. Side skirts are done. Front bumper is done. I'm pretty stoked, other than KBD being KBD with fitment issues. This bumper never really fully cured, so it's kind of sunk in quite a bit. But here, let me step back. Half zoom. There we go. That's the view. This thing's gonna be sick when I get the hardtop on, hardtop wing, which reminds me I do need to mount the hardtop wing as well. But yeah, so we're making pretty good progress. That didn't take me nearly as long as I thought. It still was kind of a pain to get everything lined up. But at this point, we need to go back through and take all of the self-tappers out that I put in so I can put rib nuts in those locations. We still have to cut out the underside of this over fender since it basically just bolts onto a stock fender. So I need to take all that out to actually clearance it. So I'll do that when that's off, tighten down the fenders themselves. I only really hand tightened them. Yeah, that rib nut there. Other than that, side skirt's done. Rear bumper's actually good. It doesn't technically need to come off. Again, rib nuts, hardtop spoiler. And then on the inside, we still have to put center console in, the tombstone, and that stuff. And I think and then there's one panel that's down here that still needs to be put in. I won't have a passenger seat for Polecat. I'm not sure if I said that or not in the video, but my harnesses won't be in, and then I don't want to go. Essentially, once we get the exterior done and those like 5 minutes of interior parts, we'll be done. It's one of those things where the more you think about it, the more things you have to do. So you just keep like adding like, oh yeah, and I got to do that, and I got to do that, and I got to do that. So yeah, I guess I'm going to keep pushing on. So probably next, I'm going to keep on the theme of the body kit stuff. I'll probably do the side skirts first. Let's get that stuff done. We were able to get all of the self-tappers out and replaced with this small Allen hardware. I'm hoping it's not very noticeable once everything's put together. Since they're really small, I'm just like hyper-focusing on it right now. So, but worst case scenario, I can always paint the heads white. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. Especially with wheels on the ground, it will look a lot smoother. Really, my only big gripe so far is the car itself is terribly dirty and I need to clean it. And all right, yeah, so next I've got to take the front fenders back off so I can radius the inside of the fenders. And then I don't know if I'm gonna get to it tonight, but maybe tomorrow I gotta take these off. And then I got some seam sealer stuff to use to seal up my quarters. And I wanna say there's something else that I'm forgetting, but we're just gonna keep going and get this all done. Fenders cut up and I popped the roof wing on. So next up, I don't feel like getting into the quarter thing. It's getting kind of late, but I will just trying to get as much stuff done as possible. I need to trim this shift boot ring. As you saw in the earlier videos, I kind of cut out this thing for the handbrake, but I never ended up trimming the shift boot kind of deal there. So I'm gonna have to pull that out, trim that. Once that's trimmed, I think that's the only thing that's keeping everything from getting put together. Oh, I have to look at the window switch thing, because the window switch wiring, everything that I set up had reversed the polarity of something, so my windows were not working right. So I got to go double check that, but then I can get all the interior stuff put together. So that's coming up probably in like 30 seconds. All right, guys, so we got the interior back together. So that's looking pretty good. I'm probably gonna overlay this with some of the cooler shots, but now we're gonna move on to the sealing the quarters up. That shouldn't take too long. Dylan was able to get me a thing of this seam sealer. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a shot. That should keep the quarters sealed so I don't get a bunch of smoke in the cabin. So let's get that knocked out. Bond is on. So I taped it off to make sure I didn't get any excess anywhere, but then pulled it off because Dylan mentioned that if I let this dry with that tape on, it'll never get the tape off. So I'm gonna let it sit for probably like 24 hours. This side came out a lot better, as I did a lot better job of getting the cut and everything. So still not perfect. While that's drying and I have a little bit of time, I think I'm gonna see if I can take some buffing compound, clean up this underside here. This is from the very last event last year at Polecat. I delaminated a tire. I never delaminate tires like this, and then it just covered everything in this tire mark, and I was kind of mad at how nasty it got. So hopefully I can get all that off. So now that we have that finished, next up is to make some door pulls. So with the cage, we can't use the normal Miata door handle. So right now there's no way to really grab the door from the inside without the window being down. So I ordered some just white material, like what you'd use for like a backpack. And we're gonna make some hooks, basically loops that will be able to bolt to the one door screw position that we can get to. And that will have something to pull on. So it should be pretty simple. Hopefully we can knock this out in like 10 minutes. I just jinxed myself. Cool, this turned out pretty well. So it has basically a fold over, so it's 2 material thicknesses on each side. I accidentally got that panel bond stuff in there, but you won't see it since it's on the inside. But yeah, it looks seems to be a comfortable amount, if not a little bit, maybe too much, but I have like 3 feet of this stuff, so it should be plenty to do more. This is the OEM screw for the door, so that should work out well. I may put a stitch across the bottom here to kind of keep all this kind of sandwiched together real cleanly, but for now, it's looking pretty good. There it goes. I added some red stitching. It did not turn out how I wanted to because I had to hand stitch it. And I'm not necessarily good at stitching, so that's more or less what it looks like. I still need to wrap the top of the door bar red, which will tie it in a little bit better. But I'm honestly pushing that to the very end because I have exactly 1 week until Polecat, so we don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm gonna delay on that probably till during the week next week. But yeah, all right, so I guess I'm gonna end it here. I'm caught up now on my clips to editing situation, and this video is already too long, so if you made it this far, thank you, I appreciate it. I guess I'll see you next time.